And good evening, everybody out there in Facebook world. Hi, Chad. Hi, Andrew. I'm Brian Carruthers, and welcome to 31 More Days with Brian and Ed. Tonight, our guest is Susie Meister from the BrainCandy Podcast and the Road Rolls Challenge on MTV. She'll be joining us in a little bit, but first, let's bring him in. Let's not hold back. He's bald, he's beautiful, and he's enjoying quarantine like nobody else. Ed Troop. Hi, Ed.
What's going on, man? Good evening. How are you?
I'm good. Good to see you.
Good to see you. The sun is out finally, so it's a nice evening.
I know. We were just talking about right before we clicked to go live here on Facebook. Hi, Jeff. Hi, Jen. Hi, Mike. We were just saying that like 7 o'clock, it seems like the sun comes out and the weather always gets great. And then you and I have to go to our room and do this show.
Well, the good news is, like, when we're done, we get done around 8. It's light out now till like 9:30, so we still have some time to maybe get outside and enjoy it a little bit afterwards.
Absolutely. Hey, I have an update for you, Ed. If you see to my right or your left, depending on which way you look at it, you see beautiful Mount Rushmore.
Yes.
We were talking about it last night. I made a big announcement that I was putting the kids and my wife in the car on Friday, and we were going to drive to South Dakota and take in Mount Rushmore and take in Wyoming and take in the heartland. Well, after much reflection, we've decided that it would be reckless to leave and spread the filth around the world. So we are going to stay in place. Our trip to Mount Rushmore is canceled.
Oh man, it was a short-lived idea. It didn't last that long. I'm very, very disappointed to hear that, man. I was excited to see you travel out to the beautiful state of Washington.
Yeah, no, it's in Wyoming.
Oh, Wyoming, that's it.
But I would, last night afterwards, Marcy and I are in bed and we're like looking at websites like how to plan according for a COVID road trip. And what do you do if you get a flat tire in the middle of Illinois and there's nobody working? And it just all became a little too overwhelming for us. So, and why mess with the kids are there. And Andrew, who just said good call, just told me earlier when I talked to him that friends of his parents were stopped somewhere in Rhode Island on their way to their beach home along the Cape and were told to go home and quarantine, and the state police were going to follow up with them.
Wow. Yeah. You just don't know. I mean, I think some people would push it, others might not, but is it worth the risk is probably what it comes down to.
Well, what it was too is like we put this list together of like what you normally pack on a road trip. And then it just doubled. It was like, you better get disinfectant wipes and you better get Lysol wipes and you better get garbage bags and you better get toilet covers and you better get booties. And I don't know, to go out in the middle of nowhere to see Mount Rushmore would be awesome. It's uniquely American. I want to do it someday, but I don't know if everything's closed around it too. Does it just suck?
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, how much enjoyment can you get out of it? As far as, last night we were talking like, the welcome center's closed, other restrooms, other things like that might be closed. So,
Right.
Those might not be deal breakers, but there is a lot more that you could probably do while you go out there, right? I mean, there's a lot of stops in different states that you can make that you would not be able to make now that you would be able to make if things were all open.
Yeah, and driving out there would be a blast. I think it would be a lot of fun, but you are going through a lot of states who are still high in these levels. So you're going through Indiana, Illinois. What if you get stopped? I don't know. And then where do you pee at, right? I mean, right now, like, I would never in my wildest dreams, and I'm not a germaphobe, but I want to avoid contact. I'm trying to listen to the experts. If I was at Sheetz just grabbing coffee, which I have, or Dunkin' Donuts drive through, the last thing I would do would go to a bathroom. I would have a panic attack if people came in there. So why mess with the kids in it? So look, the trip to South Dakota is canceled. Mount Rushmore is going to be in our future.
Well, just go to Mount Washington a couple times on the overlook and overlook the city. That'll get your fill in.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, and speaking, I wanted to bring up a few things to you, Ed. Are you familiar right now with the Karen mask? Are you up on Karen mask?
I am not.
This is good. Now, this would make you panic because I know you don't like going out, and when you do, you cover you look like the Unabomber when you go out.
Yes.
Hi, Jason. Hi, Kevin. Hi, Sean Graham. Well, anyway, there's a woman in Kentucky. A video popped up of her in a gas station, and it's a video now known on YouTube. It's a sensation called Karen Mask, and here she is. she's wearing a mask, which is officially you have to do in Kentucky. But she took a pair of scissors and cut in front of her mouth because she told the person at the gas station she's able to breathe better in it.
Well, that defeats the purpose, right? I mean, right then and there, that's you're eliminated. Don't even bother wearing the mask at that point, right?
I know. Well, I freak out when I see people when they don't have it over their nose. I think, well, why are you even? Don't you get that the mouth and the nose are doing a lot of the same things? Like, cover that, Karen.
Yeah, the first couple of times that I wore one out, my wife pointed out to me that I only had it up to here. My intent was to go over the nose, but I just didn't notice I had it like right up to the nose.
Okay.
So the last few times I've gone out, I've made sure I almost cover myself now all the way up here. The only thing you can pretty much see, especially when it's been cold out, because I put the beanie cap on, is just my eyes. Just see my eyes.
I love that. And then you and I do the same thing when we've gone to Home Depot or Lowe's. When I get out into the garden section, I pull the mask down real fast and I breathe air in and out just because I can't breathe with it on. Like remember Mel, oh my God, Mel Brooks in Spaceballs when he's President Scrooge and he's breathing that air out of the can.
Yes.
That's what we do.
Well, one thing that I've been doing too is like I'll kind of put my head down and I'll just kind of hold my breath as I go by somebody, so I'm not breathing for like 3 or 4 seconds, which is so stupid. But one thing I saw in the news the other day is you have to be, there's the 6 feet thing. We're both covered up. I mean, there's a lot of good precautions right now. We're washing our hands, but you got to be next to somebody and they got to be having that stuff go airborne. And it's got to come into you. I mean, you got to. And the way it was explained to me that I was watching something on the news is you got to spend like more than just 1 minute next to somebody. We're passing by somebody in a minute or two. You got to be like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, like right next to somebody to really have a good chance to get something.
Oh, is that right?
That's what I read. I mean, not that you should go unmasked or anything, but the odds go way up whenever the longer you spend standing.
Well, yeah, of course. Of course.
Whereas if you're just passing by in a store and you're both covered up, you're probably going to be all right.
Well, I saw the analogy. I'm a visual learner. So when someone says, here's how the mask works. If you pee on someone, you peed on them. If they're wearing pants and you peed on them, it doesn't go through as much. If you're wearing pants and they're wearing pants and you pee on them, it gets stopped. And that's the same with germs going from your mouth to the next guy's mouth. And I thought, okay, I get that. I'm dumb. I'm simple. That makes sense to me.
Yeah, that dumbs it down for us both to understand a little bit better.
Yeah, that's all. That's what it took me. Now, I will tell you, if you want to check out Karen Mask, which Karen Mask has become a sensation. The woman, as you see next to Ed from Kentucky, with the hole cut out of her mask, which I love, by the way. I'd love to meet Karen Mask. But a recent article that I read, and I don't know who wrote it. I guess like a white suburbanite wrote it, that the way we refer to suburban white women as Karen is the same way, she said, that's the way that you use the N-word or other derogatory words towards groups.
Oh, my goodness.
I thought, wow, really? We've gotten that far now that even the Karens of the world deserve some free speech and a little bit of rope to let them be. Let Karen be Karen, everybody.
Listen, everybody's losing their minds right now. We're on like what day? You don't even have the countdown up there. Was it day 51, I think?
Yeah, let me get the count. Brian says, Brian, I want to be near you for 9 minutes. Well, according to Ed Science, Brian, you and I can be as close as possible for 9, but that magic 60 seconds from 9:01 to 10, very dangerous. Don't push it. I know you want to be close.
Wait a minute. I said like you could be next to somebody for like a minute or two, not 9 minutes. I think anything over 2 minutes, you're going to start to get in trouble. So
I see.
1 or 2 minutes.
1 or 2 minutes. Got it.
Everybody's losing their minds, man. We're all cooped up for 51 days so far. I think it's going to be another 10 to 15. I told you every day that the PA State Health Department comes out with the new numbers, I look at the graphs and I look at the map every day.
Okay, now what's your interpretation of it as someone who has no background in science?
Right, exactly. 0. Do not take my opinion for anything.
Right.
But just looking at the numbers, are the state of Pennsylvania, the daily new cases has been going down now for the last couple of weeks. It kind of fluctuates a little bit, but it's not as high. Like 2 or 3 weeks ago, it was like 1,900 a day or something.
Yeah.
Now I think today it was like 888. And it's interesting because when you look at that map and you look at like the end of, not the map, but the dates and the graph, at the end of March going into the beginning of April, we were climbing this slow climb, and then all of a sudden we accelerated. Now we're kind of going the other direction and coming down. So I don't know, man. I hope that trend continues. I hope people are smart as we open back up. I think that's the biggest wait and see what happens, right?
Right. And
Wolf
has now teased that Allegheny County and surrounding counties are ready to go yellow. He's not saying when or when he said or when he will make that announcement, but he's teasing that it's going to happen. So that's good news. Two good news things for Pittsburgh. One, we're very close, whatever that means, to being in yellow. Like a girl in high school who told me, I'm thinking about dating you. And two, really good news for Pittsburgh. Remember the sinkhole that happened in October when a bus was going down Grant Street it was October or November, and this massive hole opened and it ate the bus, and it became this Pittsburgh phenomenon. Now, you may not know this, Ed, because you are too afraid to leave your house. That sinkhole is still in Pittsburgh and has not been filled yet.
And isn't that crazy, man? When we came down for your 40th birthday party in town back in December, beginning of December, we actually had to walk by there to get to the restaurant and the bar. And me and Katie looked at each other. I said, I can't believe they didn't fix this yet. And that was back at the beginning of December. I mean, that was clear back then. And then you had posted, I think, a picture on Facebook a week or two ago when you drove past there saying, oh, still here. They haven't done anything yet.
Yeah, man. I can't believe it. Well, it just was announced today. City Council and PW, Pittsburgh Water Authority, have come to terms on a joint payment plan, and that hole will be filled within the next few days. We will see. Wow. I still feel like it should be a tourist attraction. Pittsburgh loves anything that's Pittsburgh. Put a box up there and start selling T-shirts and magnets. Keep the hole open, for an extra bit of money. Let your kids go in it. Why fill it? We've already gotten through. We don't need it to be anything but a tourist attraction. Heinz Field, PNC Park, the Science Center. Oh, and now we're going to go let the kids run around in the hole.
When we were in, I think, Kentucky last summer during our journey to Tennessee, maybe it was in Tennessee, one of those, either Kentucky or Tennessee, I'm thinking it might be Tennessee, there's an exit for the Corvette Museum, the National Corvette Museum. So we went. It was awesome, dude. When we went and paid I think it was like $5 or $10 to get in. And there's all these different Corvettes from all these different years, how they made them.
The kids are allowed to get in them?
What's that?
Are the kids allowed to get in them?
I don't think you can get in the Corvettes. I think they're for display only. You can look.
My whole museum, you will be allowed to get in them.
Well, this is where I'm going with this, man. About 10 years ago, there was a massive sinkhole that erupted inside the museum, and 20-some Corvettes went down into this sinkhole. Wow. So, and they were like vintage Corvettes. But what the museum did, which was pretty cool, dude, is they basically turned it into an exhibit. They never fixed it. They left the cars in there. Some of them, they pulled some of them out, and you could actually go and tour the sinkhole and see the Corvettes where they actually went. There's a video to tell you how deep it actually went. It's really cool. So your idea is valid, man. I mean, the National Corvette Museum has done it.
TJ said put a pole liner in it and let people swim in there. I don't know about that. I think the kids playing in it's a lot more fun. That's not a bad idea, though. Do anything. Don't fill that hole in, because what's next is people are just going to get their picture on the street where the hole was, and they'll start getting run over by cars.
The problem with your idea is
the whole death.
The problem with your idea is that's one of the main. That's a main street in downtown Pittsburgh. I mean, isn't that right by 5th Avenue or 6th Avenue or something?
Yeah, I think it cuts through a 10 Pennies on the corner, and it's across from whatever hotel that is now. It's at a million names.
Yeah.
Scott says 7 months to fill a hole. That 311 pothole hotline working well. A shot at Mayor Peduto. Scott, send that to the mayor, not to me. All right. Hey, let's bring in Susie Meister. I'm so excited to talk to her. She is the co-host of the BrainCandy Podcast, and as she says, a recovering TV person, reality TV person. There she is, Susie.
Hi, friends.
How are you?
How are you? I can't believe I'm in this space that was formerly the sinkhole spot. It's a very tough act to follow.
I wanted just for ratings to keep a picture of the sinkhole up.
Yeah.
Because people love it.
Right. And my dad was a Port Authority bus driver, so I feel, kinship here.
Wow. Is he still doing it, or did he retire?
He retired, yes, but he was always very proud of his Port Authority work.
Yeah.
Had great stories, as you can imagine.
Yeah, of course. Now, does he have a take on the sinkhole? Because the driver was in there when the bus went in.
Well, he passed away, but my brother was also a Port Authority bus driver. So as soon as I saw it in the news, that was the first thing I did was send it to him and be like, thank God you don't work for that anywhere, that you could be in this hole right now. I love your idea, though, of like, why not make this an exhibit? People can visit.
I've had two running theories and that no one's picked up on. One, turn the hole into a tourist attraction.
Yeah.
Two, if we live long enough, every day will be a holiday eventually.
Just to celebrate it. I love that. Mm-hmm.
Eventually, so get used to the quarantine and never going to work, because eventually, if we live long enough, every day will be a holiday because something will happen.
I support that.
Thank you. It's great to see you. Ed, you don't know, but Susie and I worked together at B94. What year was that, Susie? 2002, 1, 2, 3, 4?
5?
5?
You guys are aging yourselves now. You're aging yourselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it was 2005-ish.
How did that job work where you came in at B94? You were fresh off of how many road rolls or how many MTV appearances, and then you were always on the show with us, John Day, Bubba Shelley, and you were on, and you would always talk about the experiences, which were really exciting. And then on one day they said, "Hey, we hired Susie, and she's our promotions director." I thought, oh, great!
It was so fun. It was so fun, but it was short-lived because I had the misfortune of joining the team right before they switched from their sort of pop genre to whatever they became, rock. Mm-hmm. And so everyone got wiped out, and I would have loved to stay much longer, but things.
Also,
those
we
times
were fired
they were
right
changing.
around the same time.
Yeah, yes. Yes, we were. We should be in therapy together.
Right, we should. We fought for unemployment right around the same time.
Right, and we're forever bonded as a result. I loved B94, though. That was such fun.
Yeah, of course.
Don't you miss it?
Do I miss? I miss how stupid I was, and I had no responsibility, and I was so young, and I didn't realize what a cool gig it was.
Yeah.
And I had no kids and no mortgage and no life, and it was just fun. Like I didn't respect that at the time, but that's what I want my kids to know as they're growing up. Like even in the pandemic, right? Like I just keep reminding them, you don't have to worry about anything. We have education, we have medicine, we have this, and Ed's the same way. Ed's a great dad, and I just want the kids to know, don't worry about any of this. You are protected.
Oh, that's lovely. And yes, and something they ought to think, because they shouldn't be burdened with the stress of it all.
Yeah, and they're so smart too, and they know how to manipulate me. I mean, I'm a school teacher now. I know you have a son. How is school teaching going for you? You enjoy
Not
being
too bad.
Teacher?
Not too bad. I actually am kind of enjoying it, but I mean, the job is tremendous, and so I respect the work that teachers have to do, and even still having to do like the Zoom calls and all that jazz. It's no joke. They have a big job even now.
Yeah, for sure. What's the hardest part? And how old is your son? What grade is he in?
He's just about to be 8. He's in 2nd grade.
Okay.
And when you look at their work and you're like, I don't even know the answers here. Yeah. Like I have a postgraduate degree, and I'm still like baffled by it all.
Well, Susie, I appreciate the comment on the teacher. My wife's a teacher, so she's doing a lot of that stuff here. And
oh my God,
she teaches middle school 8th grade English, and I'm allowed. We have 2 sons, so I have a kindergartner and a 3rd grader. I'm not allowed to attack the 3rd grade work, but I am allowed to do the kindergarten work. That's where my level is. But I definitely hear you on that. It has definitely been a game changer.
Right? You're like, holy heck, these guys are actually working all day. Who knew?
I didn't know that so much was going on, and the kids know that we have no idea. Like my son is 8, but he's a young 8, but he's in 3rd grade. And so even the math is already beyond me. And he knows that if he just says enough things and gets me distracted enough and my phone rings, school's over. So they're very smart. I think they're learning street smarts during this more than they are book smarts.
Yeah, they can sniff out weakness. It's scary.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Is there a certain subject that you don't touch with your son?
Gosh, there isn't. But sometimes I'm just like, do we really, how when you were in school, you thought this is busy work. We don't have to do that.
Yes.
I'm having those feelings again, even though I know that it's not busy work and is actually important. I'm like, you know what? You don't need to know fractions.
Who's learning fractions anymore? Nobody.
Yeah, that's useless.
Well, it's funny. The first couple of weeks we started this, we were all in, and my kids were all in on it too. We watched everything. We did every assignment. Now, what are we? 5-6 weeks later, and now we're like
cutting corners.
The video's 8 minutes long. We watch the first 30 seconds, and I fast forward to the 7:55 mark. I go, all right, buddy, there you go. I mean, he's in kindergarten. I mean, what's he gonna miss, right?
Yeah, right. It's fine.
What is the 8-minute video that you're watching for kindergarten?
Dude, he's watching
colors.
I mean, there's counting by tens, learning about caterpillars, all kind of crazy stuff.
I did a recording session today, and I shouldn't say recording, a recorder session with my son, because that's his music.
Oh Lord!
And so they're still trying to get, and I don't know how it correlates, but it's levels of karate belts. But in this case, it's how many songs you can do with the recorder.
No.
Yeah, so he runs in, he's like, Dad, I got my brown belt. And I'm thinking, I have no idea what you're talking about. But it's with recorder, so he's trying to play Ode to Joy, and I'm sitting in my kitchen, and it is the most painful 11 minutes of my day. I'm like,
it doesn't bring you joy.
Try it again. G, G, A, B, C, B. And he's working on it, and I just thought, look, there's no future. I want to just break it in half and say, look, there's no future in the recorder.
Can you imagine, though, if, did you guys learn the recorder as well?
Yeah, of course.
Ed?
I didn't. I know.
Where's the recorder?
What if we had all sticked with it? Like we started the recorder and then we just kept and became, prodigies in the recorder music industry. Why is there nobody that's really, really good at it?
It goes away, right? I mean, I guess even Kenny G started somewhere, and then he moved on to a sexier, thin,
right? The alto sax.
Yeah, he thought that.
Okay,
so
it's like a starter instrument.
Robin comments that the 3rd grade recorder concert was way better than the 4th grade performances. All right, the review is out. Hey, Susie, I read an article that you wrote, speaking of quarantine. Yes. You said that being on reality television got you ready to be part of quarantine.
Yeah.
Is that really legitimate?
It really was. I just kept thinking about, we're all locked in our homes and bored and stir crazy. And it really did harken me back to those days on the show, because on the challenge on MTV, you're in a house with a bunch of crazy people, but the boredom is really the problem, because think about what you feel in quarantine and then subtract all the stuff you do for pleasure, the internet, music, TV, everything on your phone, everything you do was removed, and then they give you alcohol.
Let's drink.
Yeah. So when you watch the show and you think, why are these people acting like that? A lot of it is just because there is nothing else to do except fight and, hook up and drink.
Yeah. That's interesting you said that. So you're in a vacuum. Everything that you have as far as technology is gone.
And books. Not even allowed to have books or playing cards or clocks, because they don't want you to know like what time it is.
Wait, why?
It's very disorienting, because it really does mess with your head. And I remember one time I was up in the night and I said to the crew, what time is it? And they said 4 in the morning, and I had no idea. And so that you get more footage because people don't know when to go to bed.
Well, I felt like even when I watched a lot of it when it was on, right? And it just seemed like everyone's standing around in pajama pants, like drinking iced tea and eating pizza, and it just looked like
quarantine,
like a bunch of zombies. Yeah. So if you're like 4 a.m. now, that makes a lot of sense.
Truly, it really does feel very similar, and you don't know like when it's going to end. You might go home tomorrow. You might stay for 4 more weeks, so that can mess with your psychology as well.
Yeah.
So that's why I wrote the article, because I was like, guys, I know what to do.
That's funny. Because right before we started, the power went out here for some reason, and I know you're in LA, so it's like 4 30 right now, right? So
Yeah.
here it's
But
around
I'm
7:30.
already drinking. That's allowed, right?
It feels like a reality show. Wait do we take your books away? But normally at this time, this is the decompress 2 hours. My wife goes and does something. My kids go play the Switch. My daughter's on her phone. And when the power went out, it was terror. Like we looked at each other like
Now what?
what do we do? Like look at each other, talk to each other. This is like the time for Fortnite. And I see Ed and I see Susie. And yeah, I couldn't imagine going into that. That would just even now more than when you were there in the early 2000s, right? Well, it
Yes.
was how much more you depend on all the technology and the social media stuff.
Yeah. So when you remove all that, there is sort of a sense of like, so what do we do now? Oh, I know. We're going to interact, which when you're competing for money can lead to fighting. Or when you're around attractive people, that can lead to hooking up. And I wrote it because I wanted people to understand like there's more to the story. So when we act like animals, it's because we're in a weird environment.
But do you go in thinking, all right, this isn't normal? There's 100 cameras along with that. What is that experience? Or are they on the ceiling? And do you ultimately forget that you're being watched? Like I would never hook up with someone on television drunk. I would just keep looking at those cameras, thinking if they're on me. When do you lose that feeling?
Well, it is true. There is a crew of people that just are around all the time filming, but there are also those cameras in the ceiling, and they have microphones taped to the beds and things like that. So just assume whatever you're doing is going to be broadcast. I always tweet that, like when politicians get caught on a hot mic, I'm always like, the mics are always hot. You people need to remember.
Yeah, you have a flashback.
But you do forget in the sense that like you get used to certain people being there and you don't think what they're capturing will then be seen by your family and friends necessarily.
Yeah.
And so much of it ends on the cutting room floor as well. So you think, well, they're not going to use that, but then they will inevitably, whatever you don't want them to use. Yeah.
Yeah. And you were on 7 different seasons, right? Was it 7 different competitive? It wasn't just road rules, right? It was the challenge and road rules.
Yeah.
You make a lot of money being on those shows because I thought that I read that if you win something. But if you're one of the many who just get spied on for a couple weeks, is it not? Are you not taken care of for the amount of time you give up?
It's changed. When I first started was way back in 1998, before Survivor even existed. And I think I got $300 a week to be on the show.
Wow.
Which was, you could make that bartending or serving. So it wasn't a windfall in that way. However, you could win if you stayed a whole time. And now the cast, like someone like Johnny Bananas, who's been on 20 seasons, he can get about $100,000 or more to do the show before he wins anything. So that's a lot of money for 6 weeks of work.
So if you go on and you're nuts, you can leverage that.
Right,
because
exactly.
you know they want you back. You become that character.
Yeah.
You have to go over the top. That was never your personality, right? This over the top, insane person, which is good.
Yeah, I dodged a bullet because when they cast me, I was cast as the virginal Christian girl next door. And so that served me well in terms of editing. I think I came off nicer than I even am. But if you're cast for a different reason, if you're known as being very loud and acerbic and confrontational, then that's going to be put on the show. And you'll be asked back a lot more because it's like job security if you misbehave.
If it makes you feel any better, I mentioned to my daughter that I was going to talk to you tonight. And because she's always like, who are you having on? And I said, oh, Susie is on. And she goes, oh, why is she on? And I said, well, she has this really cool podcast. And I said, and she lived in Pittsburgh and she went to Pitt and mom worked at Pitt. And I said, and she was on a TV show. And my daughter, who's 11, her eyes lit up and go, what TV show? I go, Road Rules. And
she was like, what?
And she goes, oh.
Yeah.
So at least it won't follow you forever. If the stuff that you're worried about, it won't. There is a dam in that water right now of like 11-year-olds becoming 15-year-olds that just don't even know it. So that's a good thing.
Oh, I'm a never was. I'm not even a has been. I'm just a never was. But I feel like that was a blessing, really, because a lot of the people that go on reality TV now, it's so much about social media and stuff. And so they get an onslaught of feedback. You're not pretty enough. You're the worst. I hate you. Terrible things, abusive things from the masses. And I didn't have to endure that. And I'm thankful.
Well, I thought your piece that you wrote too about being part of the Me Too movement against reality shows was really insightful as well. And it still is prominent today, right? Where you do put men in the society of the reality show and they're the heroes, they're fighting, they're loud, and women take this role in it. I thought that was really insightful stuff.
Yeah, the women and the LGBT folks on the show, I commend MTV for always casting people that were on the margins. You know, they were always the first, you know, HIV positive or transgender folks. And I love that, but they tend to be the color of the show and the funny moments and the levity. But like, who do you want to see kick each other's butt? That's
Right.
like, you know, the men of the show, and they become like the poster boys.
I remember being a pretty big fan of the Real World and Road Rules back in the early '90s. I think we got cable for the first time in '88 or '89, and that was immediately for me. I became a huge MTV fan. It was either ESPN or MTV for me, and a lot of reality show watching with the Real World and Road Rules. And you're right, Susie. There was some early on there. Those first couple of seasons, there was some pretty heavy stuff for the first time that was being discussed and shown on TV. And I'm guessing most of it was real, that it wasn't scripted or anything, but it was some pretty intense stuff. And I was just going into my early teenage years. So, it was a very, educational type of thing for me to learn how society could be, unfortunately.
I know. I love that about the early days when it was still controversial. You know, people still fought and hooked up and all the stuff people love to see, but they also introduced narratives that showed you people that you wouldn't maybe know in your normal life or had never been exposed to. I wish they would go back to that a little bit more, but I know with all the content that's out there, they have to compete on that sort of low-hanging fruit level.
Yeah.
I totally get it. I just miss those old days.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Is there one season that stands out to you that was your favorite, that you felt like really challenged you the most, or kind of showed the world who you really were? Anything
that I participated in?
Yeah, that you feel like really stands out?
Oh, I missed the very first season of Road Rules. That was in Australia. And I was 18.
How old were you? You're 18?
I was just a kid. I had graduated from North Hills, and I was going to community college at the time, CCAC. And we had no money. And I thought, I'm going to apply to this show just because I can get free travel and like meet people I never would normally. And so to go on that and to get to go around the world and do things you never would normally do and meet people. And it was a pure documentary experience.
Mm-hmm.
All the challenges after that, they're not scripted. They don't tell you what to say, but they situate the circumstances to create the drama. And so it's not as authentic.
Give me an example. What does that mean? Like someone pulls you aside and says, "Hey, how do you feel about Ed? Don't you think he's gay?"
Yes, there's certainly a lot of that in the interviews. So when the cast is looking at the camera and talking about something, that's with a director saying, "Hey, what do you think about so-and-so? Did you like the way they spoke to you at this time?" And they're using leading questions, and that's fine and typical on reality TV. But also just think about what I had said previously about how they removed all those distractions.
Mm-hmm.
And then you also know that if you would like to come back, you need to create moments that are televisable.
Right.
And so there's incentive to be shocking and to provoke people. And so when you incentivize bad behavior, then it's a different situation than if someone's just documenting how you would normally behave.
Well, you think about the quarantine too. How many moments for all of us have there been moments of reflection during this quarantine, where things you don't even think about normally, but since there's no sports on and you're not thinking about a job and you're a school teacher now all of a sudden, and then all of a sudden you think, boy, why did I treat that guy in high school that way? Boy, that was really wrong of me.
Totally.
Or wonder what this person's up to. It's toxic.
Yes.
To be alone with your thoughts in life, it sometimes
Dude, that is, you hit the nail on the head. And that's something I try to describe to people, but they, up until quarantine, really had no frame of reference. Because I remember one challenge I was on, I had been previously married, and I was married at the time to that person. And I thought, I don't think I want to be married anymore, because you just have time to reflect. And so what you're describing is 100% true. The distractions are gone. So then you have to face whatever your life really is, and also whatever's in the house to create drama will occur too.
Right. And all these people to instigate you to insanity.
Yeah, they don't want you to be your best self. That's for sure.
Yeah. Well, that would be so boring.
Yeah, who wants to watch people behaving all the time and being polite? That's the nature of the real world. Stop being polite and start getting real. That's what they say. Yeah.
Yeah, for
They
sure.
want that.
How long have you? Oh, go ahead, Ed. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I was going to ask Susie. You miss Pittsburgh? You get back to Pittsburgh much, or you?
I miss it so much. We were just looking at houses actually, because I was like, I don't know. I feel like the world's ending. Maybe we ought to be where we belong.
See, you're in quarantine and you're thinking,
I know, having thoughts. I'm reflecting for sure. I miss it so much. I miss the sensibility. I miss how honest people are. Listen, in LA, nobody's telling the truth. In addition to our plastic surgery and Botox and everything else, there's just a lot of like they'll stab you in the back while they're smiling. But in Pittsburgh, nobody's doing that. Everyone just tell you to your face. I love that.
Yeah, I just need to know, if I need to know what the environment's like, I just call Ed and he tells me. I go, okay, thanks for telling me. I don't think we've ever hidden anything from anyone, at least each other.
Ed's going to tell you the truth.
He is. Ed's Pittsburgh. And what about BrainCandy? How long has the BrainCandy podcast been active for? Because it seems like it's wildly successful.
Oh, we're having so much fun. We are on like episode 420 or something. So we've been doing this about 4 years. And so people on reality TV get this impression that they ought to be paid for being themselves, right? That's what being on the show is.
Right.
And so I feel really excited that my co-host on BrainCandy and she was on Real World Brooklyn.
Sarah.
Yeah, we kind of figured out a way to keep being ourselves and make a living. And that's pretty lucky.
I heard something the other day and Ed can tell you that this is true. I feel like I can find anybody on the internet.
Me too.
I know. When I heard your podcast, when you were talking about this, now I do want to tell you, you sound like a psycho when you say it. And I know that I sound like a psycho too, but when Ed and I are on the phone together, he'll go, oh, I met somebody at this open house, or his name was this, or her name was that. And I'm talking to him, I have him on speaker, and I'm looking at all my go-to ways to find that person. I go, oh, I know who you're talking about. I see. Oh, well, I'll send you this picture of her right now.
This is true.
Yes, and you have
it's
that
a superpower. Isn't that fun?
Yeah. Yes. And it seems psycho. It seems like a very you quality, right? Like when on Netflix, where he puts the people in the box, that first like 11 minutes of you, I think to myself, oh my God, this is about me. Until he starts murdering everybody.
Yeah, so then it takes a dark turn. That's all.
I'm from Pittsburgh. I'd tell you if I murdered somebody. I would never hide that.
That's a great quality, though. If you can find people online, I love it.
What is your go-to? How do you make it happen?
Oh my God, like for harassing people that I love online.
Yeah.
That's basically my thing. I mean, even back pre-internet, remember Tim Beggy, who was on Road Rules on MTV?
Ed, you remember Beggy? He was
I do.
Remember when the pirate parrot had this sidekick?
Yeah.
He's the guy who was naked in the swimming pool with the pirate parrot.
Yes.
Yes.
He was very entertaining on there.
So entertaining. And I fell in love with him as a viewer. And then I hunted him down and basically forced him to be my friend. And then I applied to be on the show so that I could get him to love me. Like that's
wait a second. Go back with this for a second. So the goal was for Tim Beggy to fall in love with you, and you did it through the internet and through getting on those MTV shows?
It wasn't even internet because there wasn't any back then, really. I mean, nothing to speak of in like 1996 or whenever he was on there. So it was like I would find out where he was going to be appearing, and then I would like send my friends down and give them a letter, and then he called my house because I like put my phone number on there.
Wow.
And I was like, I've got to get on this show so that I can be his girlfriend.
Wow. And did it work?
Yes.
Wow.
Wow.
Susie,
Yeah, we
you're
dated for
dangerous.
2 years.
love it.
I know. It's a
Really
beautiful
dangerous
thing.
stuff. I really love
That's great. That's awesome.
I just loved him. I still do. We're still friends. He lives out here in LA now, so we're still buddies. But
Well, we have a surprise. He's waiting for it to come on to see. No,
I was
just
going to
kidding.
tell you should have him on.
He would be great to have on.
He's so
Yeah.
funny.
What was this? And that story when he was, and then the Pirates immediately got rid of him when they found him. He was naked in that pool.
Yeah, and like
Is that
Jay
when you were
Leno
dating
did.
him?
No, that was before he was even on Road Rules. And Jay Leno did a joke about him in his monologue about the mascot that got caught skinny dipping. It was a whole big scene.
Yeah.
And then I guess he behaves now. Who knows?
How and I don't know why this is popping in my mind, but were you on the Tonight Show even before you were on?
God, I wish,
Rules?
Brian. I mean,
Or
your
did you
lips
meet
to God's
Or did
ears.
you meet Jay Leno?
I did. How do you know that?
It just popped over. I think I
Is
remember.
this your internet sleuthing?
I may have done some internet searching
Oh my God.
early, but what was that? Was it an obsession with Jay Leno?
I was. I can't believe you even know that. Jesus. Yes, I
Wow.
was so obsessed.
And
I
how
met
old were
him
you when you were obsessed with Jay?
like 17.
What an honor! I'm sure Jay was thrilled.
I'm sure he was too, but I didn't know that at the time.
Yeah.
But now when I look at that picture, I'm like, this is creepy and weird that I was stalking
But how
this
did you
man.
connect then? How were you? Because you went out and you met him, right?
Yes, I did.
Wow.
My God, this is exposing all of my idiosyncrasies.
This is incredible, though. You have a obsessive personality. You
I
get what you want.
do. Yeah, like I fixate on stuff.
And Jay Leno and Tim Baggy.
Welcome to my life as being partners, real estate partners, and best friends with Brian. This is my everyday with him. So
Ed, are you okay?
I'm not. I mean, this is why I'm bald. It's a big reason. So,
what's it like with you two? What's the dynamic? Is it like an odd couple situation?
With the two of us, we go way back. We went to college together, Point Park, and both broadcasting majors back then, and formed the brother.
What do you love most about Brian?
Oh man, he's my guy. He introduced me to my wife at a Dave Matthews Band concert. How about that?
No, that's so awesome.
20 years ago, this past July, Three Rivers Stadium. You remember Three Rivers?
Wow, that is so special.
There?
Oh my God. So Brian, you knew her, and then you were like, Ed, you got to meet this broad.
She went to college with my then girlfriend, who's now my wife. And so we brought it together. Now it took some time. It wasn't like a direct shot.
No.
It didn't.
She hated me.
But it was meant to be.
When we dropped his now wife, but Katie, when we dropped Katie off after that show, I think she said something like, never bring that person around.
Shut up.
Yeah, pretty much.
But look, Ed's my boy. I love him. I would not be denied. It seemed like there was something there, so we kept working. It worked good.
Oh my God, that's lovely. I'm
like
so
a
glad.
good cop. You know what it is really, Susie? We're like a good cop, bad cop. Like I am all rage and I am inquisitive and I want to ask these questions. But when we need to smooth it over, we just bring Ed. Look how lovable he is. Then he's going to grab you by the shoulder and say, hey, come here, let me talk to you. That's not what we really meant. Like it's just a nice team.
Yeah, he has kind eyes, I feel like.
He does.
That guy is always going to be nice to us.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That is true. Ed, and my mom just commented that Ed is our fourth son.
I love that's so nice.
That is true.
There you go.
That is true.
Oh, Patty.
Yeah.
Long time.
Are you friends with Sarah, your co-host, or is it just more of a professional relationship?
Oh, no. Yeah, she's my buddy. When we met on the show, we were in Thailand, and the other cast members accused us of like having a showmance, basically like where you're just friends so that you can win. But
that's illegal. My son would tell you on Fortnite that's illegal to team up and work with people. And that's what they accused you two of.
Yeah, we were not doing that. We actually really enjoyed each other, and she's totally stuck with me now because we're just thick as thieves.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Now, will you ever do reality television again? Would you go back? Is there something in the works you want to announce right now? Do I know something about you that you don't know? You have a new show coming out. Would you go back to? I mean, if they brought Road Rules back, would you put yourself through that now that you're a mom and you're a wife and you're an adult?
Yeah.
Like, are you ready for that again?
I think that type of show, The Challenge or Road Rules, was great for a season, when you're in your 20s and just figuring out who you are, what you want to do. That was great for then. On the last show that I did, where I met Sarah, I also met my husband because he put my mic on me every day. He was my sound guy. And so I think that as a guy who's been shooting reality TV for however long, he would be probably not big on me going on another show.
Well, and remember the last show you were on, you thought, I don't want to be married anymore.
I know, right? Yeah, he doesn't want me having that time to think again.
Right. Yeah, we can't have that time anymore.
Don't leave. Don't leave.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Stay right here.
Yes.
Stay right here.
I think I do pitch reality show ideas to the networks and stuff, but they are different, not competitive or isolating in those houses or anything like that.
What's the flavor then? What's a project that you feel like the world is ready to see that hasn't been picked up, or do you not want to give that out?
Oh no,
Secret.
Some people on reality TV have no censor, so you could ask me anything and I would probably answer. But I have my PhD in religious studies, and so I really wanted to combine my love of television with my academic work. So I had been writing to murderers and other criminals for many years, like high-profile criminals, because I was trying to study morality and spirituality from that point of view. And I mentioned it to someone who works in TV, and she was like, you need to make a show. So we are working with Revelations production company, which is owned by Morgan Freeman, and we're pitching the idea of me sort of exploring that concept with.
Wow. So the idea would be you going to like state prisons and seeing psychopaths and murderers and saying, why did you kill your mom?
Yeah, because I want to know the genesis of it, when they sort of first went off the path. And when I was in Pittsburgh last time, I drove to one of the prisons to meet with Jerry Sandusky, actually, the Penn State football guy that's now in jail. Because I write to him all the time and I talk to his wife. And so
how many letters have you written to Jerry Sandusky?
Dozens, lots.
Wow. And what do these letters say? Like, they introduce yourself? Do you pitch your show at first, or is it more like, I'm just wondering why you did these things and I'm just curious?
Because when I started the project, it wasn't for TV at all. It was just to do research. So it was just like, I'm a scholar of religious studies, and I knew that he was a faithful person, and so I wanted to talk to him about his faith. And I mean, that's a weird dissonance, right? When somebody's done something or has been convicted of doing something that is so evil, and yet they're a believer in some sort of religion. I wanted to get to the bottom of that. And
so you met him?
The irony is I met his wife there, and we went to go in, and I had on a blazer with like a top underneath, and they're like, oh, you can't wear your blazer. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I put it in the little locker, but the shirt I had on underneath was sleeveless. You're not allowed to wear sleeveless. So they wouldn't let me in. I was not allowed in the prison because I was dressed like a harlot, evidently.
You weren't looking for somebody's shirt? Just be like, give me a shirt, give me a shirt, give me something.
Yeah, they were like, you can walk down to Dollar General and it's 2 miles up the road. So here's me like running because I didn't have a vehicle, and I didn't make it back in time.
That's
crazy. So will that be on the mark to try to get with him again? And what's his wife say? I mean, is the wife a zombie in this? I mean, I can't believe being how another side of it would be your partner in this.
I know.
And, tonight, if my wife finds out that I'm a psychopath, there's a lot of drama and trauma to be that partner.
Yeah, I feel bad that I've taken you down this road because you're having to like recalibrate. You're like, I thought we were going to talk about reality TV. Like, let's talk about death and destruction.
Right.
No, she believes he's innocent. So, she's just supporting him under that understanding.
Do most people that you've written letters to believe that they are innocent? Because isn't there like a morality to it where they justify it, where they would go, here's why I did this? Like it's a Robin Hood effect?
Some of them do say, they don't defend it, but they say, yes, I did it, and here's why, and here's what could have changed my trajectory. And I love that because it's very helpful that they say, if I had had a mentor, or if I had someone when I was a young student sort of intervene and say, like, get me on the right path, that would have changed their life. So I think that's encouraging to know that there are things we can do.
Wow, fascinating. Well, look, if you can get
It's
Tim
weird.
Beggy to be your boyfriend, you can get an interview with Jerry Sandusky.
See? Right. Jerry was up for it. It just didn't get in because I need to dress a little more conservatively, guys.
Yeah, think about that for next time.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't be a little slut.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
It was an accident, I swear.
Yeah. And so I guess this sounds silly, but BrainCandy Podcast, where you can get it where all your favorite podcasts live, wherever that may be.
Yeah. If you like a good giggle, we talk about nerdy stuff. We don't talk about reality TV. We just talk about whatever we find interesting in books or movies and stuff like that. And we try to elevate the conversation about whatever we're talking about, even if it's silly stuff.
Yeah.
And it's a great laugh.
Yeah, I find it entertaining, and I'm a dumb guy, so I feel like I can hold my own with two intellectual women who have great opinions on things.
Thank you. It's so nice of you. And I love your show. You're the best.
Oh, it's great to see you again.
Yeah.
When you come back to Pittsburgh, will you take Ed to meet Jerry Sandusky?
Oh my God. I don't think Ed would want to.
Sorry, no.
But I'll tell you all about it. How about that?
There you go. That's good.
The world wants to know, right? I mean, this is like the last deep secret into people's brains is what in the world, what were you thinking?
I'm going to crack the case.
Who else have you written letters to who's on your get list that you'd love to find?
Oh, most of them I'm already, like the Unabomber I've been writing to for about 4 years. BTK, he's a big, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of Robert Bardo. He killed a gal that was on My Sister Sam back in the 80s. People like that sort of are in the news, but they're captive audiences. So like literally, so when I send them letters, then they are pretty much inclined to write back because they don't have a lot of social interaction.
Wow. Fascinating.
That's crazy.
Thank you.
Wow. Yeah.
You guys are nice.
Great
Can
work.
we do this more often? I love having you guys just listen to my weirdness.
Yeah, and anytime we're ready.
I wasn't expecting the conversation to go there.
I'm sorry.
No, you're great. No, you're great. I just I'm a little bit surprised, but that's cool. Hey,
yeah, but it's so fascinating.
It is. I really love doing it, and I just think these guys are there. Maybe they could provide some insight, and so hopefully we can make some progress.
My buddy Phil just said, Susie, you'd be great to talk to our forensic science and law students at Duquesne.
Oh, I love that, Philip.
All right,
oh my God, let's do it.
There you go.
I was going to say I'll connect you, but I'm sure in your own way you'll know how to find Philip if you need to.
I think Philip would know how to find me. I'm the most contactable person in the world.
Yeah, for sure. And what do you think Ed's favorite reality show is, Susie, before you go?
Okay. Is this one that's on the air right now?
Yeah, sure. It's season.
And you know what I will say?
It's
the way that you are obsessed. I think Ed is close to writing letters to people that he has seen on the show. You got to admit, Ed, you're into it.
Into what? Oh, that show. Oh,
yeah.
I have okay. Wait a minute.
Okay.
I was going to say Big Brother, but now I have doubts. No. What is it?
Well, my first thought was, and I don't know if it's really a reality show, but I love Hard Knocks when they follow around. It's on in August with the NFL teams. They go to training camp. With an NFL
I wasn't thinking Hard Knocks.
Well, that's what I was thinking. But then Brian brought me right back. So, Susie, I love watching 600-Pound Life. It just fascinates the heck out of me.
What do you love about it?
And I've always battled weight. My weight's been up and down. I work out a lot, try to diet, try to eat right. So, it's just fascinating to me to watch these people and how unbelievable it is to see how out of control and how you get to 600 or 800 pounds. Just my mind can't take it. I can't understand how they get to that point. Because I know when I get to a certain weight, I'm like, whoa, wait a minute, back up. We got to get this under control.
Okay.
But then
so you can relate to the struggle, but you're thinking, how did you let it get this bad?
Yeah, and then the doctor on their Doctor Now is just fascinating. The doctor who does out of Houston, Texas.
No, I want to know.
It's on TLC. Check it out. In fact, I think it's on tonight. I think it's on Wednesday nights.
It's on every night.
What's fascinating about the doctor?
Doctor Now. He's out of Houston, Texas. So
what do you love about him?
He just cracks me up. He's like this old foreign doctor that doesn't talk real well. Just he's very entertaining, and he yells at them. He'll come in and he'll tell them that they need to lose, like 80 pounds in 3 weeks, and then they come back and they've gained like 2 pounds. They haven't even lost a pound, and then he yells at them and says, "How serious do you want to take this?" And
wait. On Friday, I'm interviewing somebody that was on Biggest Loser. What would you ask somebody that was on that show?
I used to. So back in the day when it first
watch that all the time.
I
used to watch Biggest Loser all the time. Me and my wife, we watched that every week. And that actually in the around 2010, 2012, Brian knows this. I lost like 70 pounds. So I was watching that while that was going on. It was very inspirational, and it was a great show. My biggest question is, what do you do after the show? After the show's over, how do you keep the weight off? What happens what happens after the journey? I think I've seen some things online where some of them have kept the weight off and have done real well, and I think other ones have put the weight right back on. So it'd be interesting to see what the post-show plans are.
I feel bad for those shows, Susie, because when you talk about your experience of there's an angle, right? We have to make this interesting for television. People who legitimately have problems when you think are they're hoarders or they're obese, you think they're getting worked the same way that you were worked on the reality shows?
Yeah, to a certain extent. It's less severe if, it's a situation where they're not stuck in a house with people and competing for money. But Biggest Loser, they certainly are in a house and competing for the win. But yeah, I mean, that's why in that article you mentioned when I talked about quarantine and like how to cope with life right now, I mentioned how the producers have a different goal than you do. They don't care if you have a great experience or if you make friends and get to travel. They care about making a great show that people want to watch. And so those two things are in conflict. And so it's good to remember, both as a viewer and a participant, that we're not all on the same page here of the goal. And so Biggest Loser producers have to create a show that is providing what the viewers want, which is to see dramatic weight loss. And that can incentivize unhealthy ways to accomplish that.
Are you allowed to say which former contestant you're having on?
Yeah, her name is Susie Hoover, and she ended up marrying Matt, who won the season, and she's blonde and had glasses. Yeah. And they were so cute. They're still married.
Yes.
Both of them have gained a lot of the weight back, but I just am eager to find out what really goes on, what it's really like, and then after, as you said, how do you maintain it or not?
It's a struggle. I mean, Brian knows this too. I mean, I lost, like I said, I lost that 70 pounds, and I'd go up 20, down 20, up 20, down 20, year after year after year. And I always knew why. It was as soon as I'd start eating bad again and not working out, but everybody has to find their own, everybody, something's going to work for everybody a little bit different than another person. So you just have to find that out. That's the most difficult.
Well, what I can't imagine to start on a show like that.
Well, right. And then afterwards, the show's over, everything's gone. But then when you go out, everyone's looking at you have you put on weight? Are you still in shape? That's a lot of pressure that I didn't experience after my shows.
Yeah. If you have Bob Harper working with you every single day, that's one thing. But when you go to nobody, that's tough. Love Bob Harper, by the way.
I do too. He seems so nice. Yeah.
Well, Susie, thanks for the time tonight. I know we said 30 minutes, and now look, it's been an hour. So
time flies in your mind. Thank you so much.
And we'll be listening to the BrainCandy podcast, and when you want to have Ed on at any point to talk about my 600-pound life, he's available.
Okay, it's a deal. Thank you so much.
Sounds
all right, good luck. We'd love to see you again. Thanks, Susie.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
All right, there she goes, Susie Meister from L.A., originally from Pittsburgh. That was fun.
Dude, she was great, man. Outstanding. Very, very great to talk to. Awesome to talk to.
How about the Sandusky stuff? She wants to get in with Sandusky. I love that.
So, I mean, I wasn't lying. That was one part that her writing criminals in prison was not something I expected for that conversation to go to. But, hey, it sounds like an interesting show idea. Don't be surprised if you see it on TV one day.
I want to host that show.
You could be the host.
Down with Sandusky and be like, let's talk about this, Jerry. What happened?
Oh man, you could be the host, and Susie could be the person that actually goes out and does the interviewing. There you go.
See,
in studio, and she can be on location.
That'd be great. Imagine spending time with Sandusky's wife.
Oh, that's crazy, man. You know, I mean, I
Like
wonder how many
Survivor
people.
remorse. Like I remember watching a 60 Minutes or something on Dylan Klebold, who was the Columbine shooter. His mom. There's a memorial in Colorado for the kids who were killed in Columbine. That the mom of Dylan Klebold goes there every day and talks to people who visit it and apologize and tells her story and talks about the memorial, and her life's changed forever. Maybe this is a reality show that I should pitch to Susie. It's
I think
called Survivor Guilt with
Sur-
Brian Carruthers.
Well, I think Phil Clark commented on here earlier that we should do a Brian and Ed reality show. So, which we've especially in our real estate world, I definitely think that would.
That'd be great.
HGTV waiting to happen.
That would be great. I would love it. Well, there you go. What a great hour. Another power hour with my best friend, Ed Troop. Thanks for doing it, Ed.
You too, buddy. Enjoyed it as always, man. Stay healthy, everyone.
All right. See you tomorrow with no guest. We're going to work on it. We'll have a guest. Giselle Fetterman has not gotten back to me. She said she was in and she was interested, and then she disappeared. So we'll be looking for her sooner than later.
Maybe we get Powerhouse Hughes back on here.
I'd love to. I wonder if Susie knows Powerhouse.
I'll text Powerhouse as soon as we get off, and if he's able to make it, we'll promote it tomorrow.
Powerhouse Hughes.
Let's see if we can get him back.
Ron Klein said he wants to come back on. He said that he felt slighted that he only got 10 minutes where everyone else gets a whole show.
Susie just got a whole hour.
She was great. I think we could have given her 2 hours.
We could have kept on going. She was great to talk to for sure.
All right, Ed. Have a great night, my buddy, and we'll see you tomorrow. There goes Ed Troop. Thanks, everyone, for watching. This has been 31 More Days, day 51, and we hope that the quarantine ends soon. Until then, we'll keep you company. Thanks for watching, and have a wonderful night.